May do a giveaway after the Bethesda. Although I don't know how much time between Bethesda stream and Devolver stream is. I want to have a shower between conferences. Just to help me wake up a little. Now, there was a racetrack I wanted to race on, which was small enough for these cars. I think it's Okayama. Or Zandvoort might be a good idea. Yeah, let's do Zandvoort. Let's check that the rubber is some light there. Okay. This is I think even these cars are official workshop stuff, along with this track, which is version 0.2 at the moment. They still haven't finished it. So apparently they were waiting for some details because it had recently been resurfaced. I did see someone made a video of this track, but the version back in the 60s and 70s, which is a little longer and the corners flow a little easier. Just going to take that off to start off with, just to see what happens. What I might do is minimum torque. Let's take the smoothing down a bit to see if that actually makes. Turn the first force feed back up. See, because I don't drive cars in real life. He waited for me. Well, I've taken the smoothing off and the bumps. I can feel them all. Yeah, because I don't drive in real life, I don't have any experience in what clutch delivery should be like. Changing gears. I've always left foot braked because that's just what racing cars do. I was in the mindset of the old track then, which was just, that was going to take me into the sand dunes, but I forgot there's. Whoa! I was concentrating too much on the track and not what was coming up behind me. This track looks a lot wider than it did do when I was racing here in a I think it was in a GT car. Maybe it's because I was staring through a windscreen. I think I'm going to need to slap some wind back on. It's far too loose. I remember when I first started online racing back, I think it was Around about the time I finished college, or just before I finished college, you know, we were still running on 56k modems, and it was still possible to, you know, race, which was a bloody miracle. And we had what was it? We were racing a game called Grand Prix Legends, game that came out in 1999, I think, and based on the Formula 1 1967 season. And I saw the college associate, don't call him a friend, he got a demo of Grand Prix Legends way back, and because he had back in those days a Voodoo card, a 3DFX card, he could run Grand Prix Legends at quite high frame rates. And he played a demo of Grand Prix Legends, and I think it was either a Lotus or Ferrari at Monza. Now I was already kind of interested in racing games. Normally Formula 1, the old Jeff Kremen things back on the Amiga and the PC. And as soon as I saw the cars bouncing about on their suspension, and you were able to see the suspension movement, I was sold. I was like, yeah, sign me up. So I think I'd brought my racing wheel to college with me, which had no force feedback at all. And a couple of us played it over a local area network. You know, just kind of fascinated by what it was like to crash these cars into each other, because the physics was, you know, quite believable, and you could do some rather good acrobatics. But then I found my way onto the internet and found a league, a UK-based Grand Prix Legends League, and they were going to be doing a full season of, you know, all the 1967 tracks. So, you know, I'd had a little practice. I think I'd even invested in I'd bought a Microsoft force feedback wheel, which in those days was, you know, pretty good. Well, at least I thought it was. It was the only one I could get my hands on. Had a really kind of small wheel compared to the ones that we use now, which I don't even think I'd be able to use it now, and I don't know how I got by. And we started off, I think the first race was Kyalami, which is in South Africa, and I did horrendously badly. I crashed into anything that moved, basically. And let's put some wing back on. And I think it was at that point I joined a team, like a virtual racing team, and we were all. I picked the Ferrari because obviously the sound of the V12 was quite addictive, and did the first race. I would think I finished 12th out of 18 or something. Did really, really badly. And then the next race was going to be Monaco. I missed that one because I think I was either going out or there was something, one reason I missed it. And then I came back and did this race. Obviously the 1967 version of it, so the course was probably maybe 1.5 times the size, and the corners actually flowed a little more. There was no particular chicanes or anything. And I just remember it quite vividly. I don't know if I got pole or anything, but something just started to click. And I actually won that race. I can't remember if that was my only win. No, it couldn't have been. I think I won a few after that, but I was pressured throughout the whole race by another Ferrari friend of mine, not my teammate, unfortunately. And I always remember it quite vividly because he was about 1 to 2 seconds behind me for the whole race, and actually won it. Second race of the season. I was quite chuffed. And then I got the bug after that, doing the online racing at Lark, and I spent how many seasons in that league? 8 seasons. It might have equated to 8 years. Can't remember. Did get a bit miffed at the end, because they ended up bumping me up to it worked in divisions based on ability. So I ended up in Division 1 because I don't know if it was ability or just because of lack of drivers. Okay. And because of the lack of drivers, they had divisions 1 to 5, 1 being the best and 5 being the worst. And then after that, they had what was a Masters division, which was for people that were just far beyond anyone else's ability. And even Division 1, they would just blitz them, and then so they would guest in the Division 1 out of boredom or what? So it would end up that you'd have Division 1 drivers completely unmatched with what were so-called master drivers, and they would just win every race. You know, you were like a couple of seconds slower than them. There was no competition. So in a season where I was top of my group, so to speak, I was then just completely outclassed by another driver that wasn't even meant to be in the league in the first place. And I think before that, you know, it was obviously drivers in division which you made friends with, and I became quite good friends. I did lose touch with most of them. You know, many of them were actually I was actually the youngest out of the lot. At how old was I? I would have been 21. And most of them were kind of older guys, old enough to be my dad, kind of thing. Really weird. But that, you know, you would have several races which were obviously moderated afterwards, you know, for incidents and things like that. There would be a couple of incidents where there'd be a half and half. And sometimes I would let my emotions get the better of me in certain situations, and the decisions I made on track weren't the best. I think one of the moderators on one particular incident that I caught myself up in, which was at Monaco. I always vividly remember the comment. They said I was trying to act like Jarno Trulli to get to the front as fast as possible. I ended up having a really good start. The main straight was part of the pit lane in 1960s at Monaco. So I basically went down the pit lane. It's part of the track to pass a lot of cars up the inside and turn one, and then up the hill towards whatever corner it was. And I ended up out-braking myself and just running wide and cut out in the barrier. So I think it was either my race ended there, or I had to reset the car and take a penalty for it. So I think I ended up with 3 wheels on my wagon, or bent suspension or something. And there was also a couple of incidents where I would come together with a chap that we always seemed to meet each other on track, because we were, I guess, very similar ability. But we were in 2 completely different cars, 2 different. You know, my Ferrari had a big top speed, and acceleration was pretty good, and he was in a Honda, which I think had a longer wheelbase and handled a little differently. And we had some coming togethers at Spa one season, and I think we came together at another racetrack. We weren't friends, let's just put it that way, because I didn't really agree with the judges' opinion of how the incident took place and who got penalised for it. But the doing was again the division or the league before the Masters joined to ruin everything. I did a season where again I was near the top of the standings, and I think I was pretty much nearly in the lead, and they did such a thing as you could do dropped scores, because obviously not everyone would go to every single round. So if you imagine someone could win every single round and they would still have to drop a score, and if they won every single round, the score that they dropped would be a really high scoring race. But if someone only did the rounds -1, they could drop the one that they missed, so they could literally take a sickie on one of the races and then end up better off. And the guy leading the championship looked like he did that. and ended up having to drop quite a substantial result because I had to drop a score. So I think I ended up losing the championship by under 10 points or something, and I wasn't best pleased. I think the results pages, I looked them up not long ago. They're still available on what's called the Wayback Machine, which is something that archives web pages, and all my results are still there, which is kind of cool. I probably still have the replays on a CD somewhere. I did mean to, install Grand Prix Legends again, just to find out what the races were like, because the replays would stay intact pretty well. But I think I sold Grand Prix Legends. I had a boxed version, proper cardboard box. I think I sold when I moved flats 4 years ago. I ended up selling a lot of stuff to get some money back. And I think I ended up selling it. There was a couple of games that were quite rare and fetched quite a lot on eBay, and I took advantage of that. There was a game that had been out for a number of years, and it had become so rare that it was going for like 50 quid on eBay, and we're talking about bastard. I'm talking about many years after, and it was going for some instances at £80. I took a chance. I left the door open and he went, "I'll have that." And I say, "Fuck off." So yeah, I'd like to go back and look at them. Back then, I don't think Grand Prix Legends ran very well for me. I was certainly on the lower end of the specs, and I could only run it at a certain resolution. Not a great resolution, but